I never believed in strange remedies until I saw what happened to Nneka. I was there the day she unwrapped the mysterious bundle from the native doctor. What was inside chilled me, not because it was strange or magical, but because it was so ordinary. And it worked. Let me tell you the story of Nneka and her mouth. Nneka was known in our village as a strong woman, sharp-tongued and quick to defend herself. She and her husband, Okoro, were always quarreling. If Okoro said one thing, Nneka would say 5. And her words were like blades. You think you can talk to me anyhow, Okoro? Am I your mate? She would snap, her voice loud enough to wake the ancestors. Okoro, no saint himself, would reply angrily, if you had respect, this house would be peaceful. Their shouting matches echoed through the village almost every evening. It was as if peace had packed its bags and left their home. I lived next door, and I heard everything. Sometimes, I'd see Nneka in the market the next day, her eyes red from crying. But when I asked her what was wrong, she'd wave it off, saying, Okoro is just a foolish man. Things got so bad that people started avoiding their compound. Even the kids whispered about how their voices could be heard all the way to the river. One day, Nneka came to me in tears. Ada, I can't take it anymore, she said. Okoro hates me. He doesn't care for me anymore. He doesn't even eat the food I cook. I didn't know what to say. What advice could I give someone who fought her own shadow? But then she said something that surprised me. I'm going to see the native doctor in the next village. Maybe he'll have something for me. I didn't believe in such things, but I didn't stop her. At that point, she was desperate. A few days later, Nneka returned, holding a small bundle wrapped in a red cloth. She told me about her visit to the native doctor. I told him everything, Ada, she said. How Okoro and I fight all the time. How he doesn't love me anymore. The man just nodded and said, your problem is not your husband. It's your mouth. I laughed a little when she said that. Your mouth. What does that mean? That's what I asked him. Nneka said, looking embarrassed. But he gave me this. She held up the bundle. He said, whenever your husband says something that makes you want to talk back, put this in your mouth. Don't remove it until you feel calm. What's inside it? I asked, curious. I don't know. He said not to open it, she replied. I didn't think it would work. It sounded ridiculous. But Nneka was willing to try anything. The change was almost immediate. The next time Okoro said something that would have usually sparked a fight, Nneka did what the native doctor told her. She put the bundle in her mouth and stayed quiet. Okoro looked at her, waiting for her usual sharp reply. But she just sat there, staring at him. He frowned and walked away, confused. Over the weeks, the fight stopped. It was like magic. Okoro started coming home earlier. He began helping her with chores, even buying her small gifts from the market. I saw Nneka smile more in those weeks than I had in years. One day, she came to me with a glowing face. Ada, it worked, she said. The native doctor's remedy worked. Okoro is like a new man. He's so kind now. He even called me Nkem last night. A few months later, Nneka decided to visit the native doctor again, this time to thank him. She asked me to come along. I didn't want to go, but I was curious about the man who had solved their problem. When we arrived, the old man was sitting outside his hut, chewing on a kola nut. He looked up and smiled when he saw us. Nneka, how is your home now? He asked. Peaceful, Baba. Okoro has changed. Thank you so much, she said, kneeling to show her gratitude. The old man chuckled. Good. Now give me the bundle. Nneka handed it to him, and he untied the red cloth. Inside were pieces of dried kola nut. Nothing else. I stared at it, confused. That's it. Just kola nut. Yes, the old man said, smiling. There was nothing special about it. The power was never in the bundle. It was in her silence. Nneka's mouth fell open. What do you mean? I mean your problem was your sharp tongue, he said calmly. When you stopped talking back, your husband stopped fighting you. Sometimes, silence is the strongest remedy. We walked back to the village in silence. Nneka was deep in thought, clutching the empty cloth in her hands. That evening, I heard her and Okoro laughing together in their compound. It was the first time I'd ever heard joy from that house. From then on, Nneka became known not for her sharp tongue but for her wisdom. And every time I see a kola nut, I remember that sometimes, the simplest things can fix even the most broken situations.